Be me, 30, was studying medicine but decided to pursue photography. Always thought I had relationships and fairness figured out. Kind of feminist, not extreme, just believed in equality, fairness, split things fairly. Grew up hearing Mum's side of the story. She left to be independent, free, start her own life. Teachers and friends reinforced it. Your mum is strong for leaving, women don't need men. I absorbed it all. Mum was free, Dad was boring. I thought men who stayed were weak and women who left were strong. Every girl I knew said the same. Dads are just providers, and half the time they fail at even that. Can't remember much about Mum. One night after the divorce, maybe a year or two in, she took me to some bar because her friend was playing music. I sat in the corner with a Coke while she laughed with strangers and smoked on the patio. To me, it wasn't weird at all, honestly. I thought it made her kind of cool, like she wasn't some boring mom stuck at home. Whenever anyone brought up courts being biased, I'd roll my eyes. I'd say, actually, women barely get anything. Men just exaggerate online. I wasn't even that close to Mum, but because she was a woman, I assumed she must have been the one struggling, not Dad. In my head, courts were there to correct men's advantage, not punish them. So I always laughed at guys online crying about divorce, alimony, custody. Figured they were bitter losers who couldn't handle responsibility. Used to say, men never provide enough, that's why women leave. Meanwhile, my dad? Blue collar, 60s now, worked his whole life. Factory job, sometimes postal work on weekends, whatever overtime he could grab. Never complained, never splurged. In his 30s, he blew out his knee on a double shift. Doctor said he needed surgery, but that meant months off work. No pay, no safety net. So he just shrugged it off, limped home, and kept showing up the next day. To this day, he still walks with that limp. He'd joke, crooked leg just keeps me steady. But I see now, it was him deciding survival mattered more than his own body. To me, growing up, his long hours just looked like neglect. Missed birthdays, missed plays, missed dinners. Mum's absence was freedom, Dad's absence was coldness. I carried that into adulthood. He lived modestly, quietly, always paying bills on time. Wore the same watch for 25 years. Never bought new cars, no vacations unless it was for the family. I used to roll my eyes, thought he was cheap, unfun, uninspired. But he had this one phrase he repeated like a mantra. One day, this pension will be my security. I'd complain that he didn't sit home like Mum did. He'd just smile, rub his knee from an old injury, and repeat the line, "The pension will take care of us. Just wait." To me, it sounded corny, like the words of a man too boring to live. But it kept him going. He'd even joke, "When I retire, I'll finally buy myself a fishing boat." That dream was the one indulgence he ever let himself say out loud. I thought it was small, boring, proof he lacked ambition. But looking back, it was the one thing keeping him alive through 40 years of grind. Fast forward. Last year, he finally files retirement papers. I expect him to be happy, relieved. Instead, I notice him pacing the living room at night. Stacks of unopened letters on the coffee table. Envelopes from the pension office, HR, some law firm. He keeps shoving them aside when anyone walks in. One night, I catch him just staring at one envelope, like it's a bomb. I tease him. "What, you afraid of paperwork now?" He doesn't laugh, just sighs, heavy, older than I've ever heard him sound. I push him to open it. He resists, then finally does. Inside, a letter. Formal, cold. Pursuant to QDRO, 40% plus cost of living expenses of your defined benefit pension will be allocated to your former spouse. I frown. Ask what it means. He closes his eyes, rubs his face, finally says the words, "It means half my pension's gone. To your mother? I'm sure her new husband's pretty happy about that." I blink. My mom's not even with him. Hasn't been for 25 years. She remarried, financially fine. Why would she get his pension? I say it out loud. Wait. That was ages ago, you've moved on. Why would she get your pension? He just laughs, bitter. Courts don't care. Marriage is forever for men. Even when it ends, you keep paying. I try to argue. Well, maybe Mom deserved it. She left to find herself, to be happy. That has to count for something. Say, well, maybe it's just equality? Like, women sacrifice too, so the courts balance it out. He gives me a look that makes my stomach twist, but I keep going, trying to justify it somehow. You can't say it's unfair when women usually get less in the system overall. Gut punch moment. I always thought divorce meant splitting assets once. Clean break. Never realized pensions get divided decades later. Low-key sad, I won't be getting much of an inheritance then, I guess. I blurt out, wait, why did I not know about all this? He gives me a tired look, like I just proved how sheltered I've been. Because men don't talk about it. Who's gonna listen? You complain, you're bitter. You stay quiet, at least you keep some dignity. His words sting. All those years I thought he was just cold, when really he was silent because no one cared to hear. He pulls out the old letter from 1999, yellowed paper. Points to one clause, buried deep. Retirement benefits, subject to equitable division. Says he never thought it would matter, figured by the time retirement came, it'd be irrelevant. But here it was, defining his future. I feel my stomach sink. I keep wanting to say, this can't be right, courts don't favor women like that. But the clause is in black and white, signed and sealed decades ago. My brain scrambles to reconcile it. If women fight so hard for equality, why does it look like he's the one still paying? Ask him how much he's losing. He breaks it down, 1,800 monthly pension, 900 straight to her. He still has to cover rent, bills, medical. Meanwhile, she lives in a house he helped pay off, remarried, comfortable. He's left with scraps of his own life's work. I blurt. So wait, even after all these years, you're still paying her? Doesn't it ever stop? He shakes his head. Number for men. Marriage never ends. It's a lifetime sentence. I freeze. For the first time in years, I have nothing to say. All the lectures I gave about fairness suddenly sound hollow. Later that night, I think about all the times I mocked guys online. Memes about alimony, pay pig jokes, men crying about responsibility. I remember rolling my eyes when Dad would say he couldn't afford a trip, a new car, or even a dinner out. I thought he was just cheap. Never realized he was already living in quiet survival mode, saving every cent for the pension dream. Now that dream is cut in half before he even touches it. The next morning, I overhear him on the phone with HR. So the payments start next month? A pause. His face drops. Direct deposit? She gets it before I even see it. He hangs up, mutters to himself. They take it right out of my check. Like child support for life. The phrasing stings me. Child support for life. But the child is his ex-wife. A woman who hasn't been part of his life for 2 decades. And the courts don't care that she's remarried, stable, and better off than him. It's not alimony, it's property division. A pension split. Marriage is a financial contract that never expires. Weeks go by. I can't stop noticing little things. His grocery bags, lighter, cheaper brands. He skips his usual Friday night beer, keeps saying, gotta cut down, just in case. The fishing boat, gone from his vocabulary, now he says, maybe I'll get a small canoe someday, with a hollow laugh. After dinner, I confront him again. Ask how he really feels. He sits down, shoulders heavy. You know, I worked 40 years for this. Every overtime shift, every holiday missed. I thought, one day, I'll rest. But it doesn't matter. She gets the rest, not me. He rubs his bad knee as he says it, that same leg that's been crooked for decades. I thought if I can still walk, I'm fine, but maybe I was limping for nothing. I don't know what to say. The man I accused of not providing enough gave everything, even his body, and still lost. I want to argue, to say it's fair, that marriage is partnership. But the words feel fake. How is it partnership if she left 20 years ago and still collects? A couple days later, I go with Dad to his union office. He wants to ask about the pension split in person. We sit in the waiting area, him with his cap in his hands, quiet. I overhear 2 older guys near the coffee machine, talking. Both retired already, one limping, the other with a worn-out voice. The limping one says, "You hear about Joe? Ex-wife still gets 1/3 of his pension. Married 20 years, divorced 30. She remarried twice since. Doesn't matter, she still cashes it." The other just shakes his head. Yeah. Welcome to marriage. Guys think it ends at divorce. It doesn't. It ends when you die. One of them pats his cane against the floor, bitter grin. We all work ourselves into the ground, and in the end, someone else enjoys the harvest. I stiffen, my ears burning. They talk like it's just common knowledge. The second guy adds, "Every man knows someone who lost half his retirement to an ex. Some lose houses, some lose custody, some lose both." I want to jump in, to say, well, statistically, women are the ones left poor after divorce. I mutter under my breath, can't help it. But women sacrifice too. They raise kids, The limping guy cuts in like he's heard it 1,000 times. And then they move on, remarry, live comfortable lives. Meanwhile, the guy pays twice. Once when he's married, again when he's divorced. Your dad's story isn't rare. It's the rule. His buddy nods, adds something that makes my stomach twist. Courts don't care about fairness. They care about formulas. Coverture fraction, QDRO orders, percentages. The math doesn't stop when feelings do. Your dad could live to 90, and she'll be cashing his checks the whole way. I whisper, but that's not equality, that's... The man finishes flatly, like he's said it too many times. Bondage. The man with the cane looks at me, almost like he can read my thoughts. His voice drops lower, but it cuts sharper than anything Dad has ever said. You kids never see it, do you? You think your fathers are boring, cold, failures, and then one day you realize he broke his body so you could eat. My stomach knots. He's not even talking about Dad directly, but it feels like a blade twisting in me. He goes on, you ever once think about what he gave up? No vacations, no hobbies, no rest, just work. And now he can't even enjoy what's left. Tell me, do you even thank him? Or do you just laugh, like the rest of them? I want to snap back that of course I appreciate him. But the words stick, because honestly, I never really said it. In my head, I always figured that's just what dads are supposed to do. Work, provide, shut up about it. Thanking him felt unnecessary, like praising a fish for swimming. That night, I lie in bed and think about his knee. The limp, the way he always hides the pain with some dumb joke. For half a second, I picture helping him pay for surgery, like one of those cheesy redemption stories you read online, but the thought barely lasts. ChatGPT said, because then I remember the flight deal to Bali. I bookmarked last week. I picture myself there. Sun sticking to my legs, ocean breeze, camera in my hands, catching sunsets instead of hospital lighting. A massage table instead of a surgery waiting room. Cocktails instead of cafeteria coffee. Him hobbling out of physical therapy versus me dancing barefoot under lanterns by the beach. No contest. And honestly, I deserve it more. I've been under pressure too, right? School, career, life. Why shouldn't I pick myself? I tell myself he wouldn't even want the surgery. He'd just brush it off, say he's fine. He always says, don't spend on me. I do this for you. So really, going on the trip is me honoring his wishes, right? Deep down, I know I could be wrong. Unlikely, but possible. But I hold on to it anyway because it makes choosing myself easier. What would you pick, honestly? Dad's limp or Bali sunsets? Don't lie. I know what most of you would choose. He always says, if it's not broken, don't fix it. A couple days later, I meet up with some friends from uni. We grab cheap drinks, the usual catch-up, everyone talking over each other. I don't even know why, but I bring up Dad's pension mess. Half venting, half fishing for someone to validate me. The girls immediately jump in, voices sharp like they've been waiting for a debate. Sarah goes first. Well, yeah, but your mom deserves that money. She raised you. She sacrificed. That's literally what marriage is, splitting everything, even after. Jenna nods. Exactly. It's not theft, it's compensation. Men don't realize how much invisible labor women do. I relax a little, glad they're defending her. But then the guys start pushing back. Alex, always blunt, shakes his head. Come on, your dad worked 40 years for that pension. Your mom left, remarried, and she's still cashing his checks. That's not splitting. That's theft. The girls immediately roll their eyes, groaning in unison. Wow, Sarah mutters. You sound like one of those bitter Reddit men. Chris, who never talks much, suddenly cuts in. Bitter doesn't mean wrong. Look, my uncle went through the same thing. Divorced in his 30s, thought it was over. Then boom. 40 years later, he retires, and half goes to the woman who left him. She had 3 other relationships after. How is that equality? The girls scoff, calling it anecdotal, but the guys double down. Jenna leans forward, hands waving. But that's exactly the point. Women give up their best years raising kids, supporting men while they build careers. Then when it's time to cash in, they're supposed to just walk away with nothing? That pension isn't just his, it's hers too. But she didn't raise the kids, Alex snaps back. She left. Your mom left. She didn't stick around, didn't do the sacrifices you're talking about. If she wanted independence, why is she still living off him 20 years later? The table goes quiet for a second at that one. I sip my drink, pretend not to feel the sting, but keep listening. Then Jenna says, okay, but legally speaking, the marriage contract included future earnings. That's what the courts see. Doesn't matter when it ends. Chris fires back. Yeah, and that's exactly the problem. The contract is endless for men. You think you're free after divorce, but you're not. It's like a life sentence. Sarah laughs like he's being dramatic. That's such victim talk. No one forced men to marry. Alex snorts. Yeah, and no one forces women to stay either, but apparently they still get paid for leaving. They all start piling on arguments. Sarah brings up stats she read. Women end up poorer after divorce. It's a fact. Chris shoots back, and men end up paying for 2 households, theirs and the ex's. Of course the guy looks poorer too, but only one side actually earned that pension. Jenna tries to spin it philosophical. Marriage is a partnership. You split the good and the bad. Without women's emotional labor, men wouldn't even have careers to begin with. Alex practically slams his glass down. That's cute, but you know what men call emotional labor? Pressure. Pressure to provide, to grind, to work themselves half dead so they don't lose respect. Your dad literally busted his knee working overtime. Where was the emotional support then? I shift in my chair because I don't have an answer. The air feels heavy. The laughter from nearby tables doesn't match ours anymore. Then Chris says something that hits way too close. If you really cared, you'd help him fix that knee instead of going to Bali. The girls instantly laugh, breaking the tension. No, don't let them guilt you, Sarah says quickly. You deserve Bali. You deserve to live your life. Don't get dragged down into his bitterness. Jenna nods. Exactly. Men love to guilt-trip their daughters into being caretakers. Don't fall for it. Self-care is important. The guys just shake their heads, muttering that it's exactly the problem. Alex sighs. See? That's why nothing changes. Everyone justifies selfishness with buzzwords. Meanwhile, men die younger, broken down, while women call it empowerment. Sarah fires back. Or maybe men should stop expecting medals for doing the bare minimum. Providing doesn't make you a hero, it makes you a functioning adult. I laugh awkwardly, trying not to take it personally, but Alex cuts his eyes at me. So what's it gonna be? Fix his knee or sip cocktails in Bali? I don't answer. Just swirl my drink, pretend I didn't hear. The next day, he tries to joke about it. At least I don't need 2 good legs to sit on the porch and watch the sunset. His laugh is hollow, and I fake one back. But the words from the union office still echo that kids only wake up to their fathers when it's already too late. I want to finally back him, to admit he's right. But instead, I chicken out. I mumble, barely looking at him. Maybe it's not best if I take sides. Divorce is complicated, right? He goes quiet, just stares at me like I'm some stranger repeating a script. After a long silence, he finally says, voice hard. Complicated? She left when you were 8. She was already seeing another man. She wanted out because she didn't want a family slowing her down. That's not complicated. That's selfish. I grew up believing the story was simple. Dad was cold, Mom needed space. But piece by piece, it's clear that wasn't true. She didn't leave because she was unhappy. She left because she met someone else. Dad worked nights, holidays, weekends, and she called it neglect. But when another man gave her attention, she called that love. I just sit there, stunned. All my life, I thought Mum was the brave one, the strong one, the one who chose freedom. But hearing him spell it out, it hits different. He stayed, she ran. He built, she escaped. He gave everything, she took it and walked away. And somehow, I grew up believing she was the hero.